All right. So I know that we all basically got into this podcast with the intentions of peeing our names into the digital snow of the internet, but I wanted to use this opportunity to talk to our fives of fans, perhaps up to 7 or 8 now. I want to make this world a better place. So today I was driving home, and I get home, and there is a truck parked in front of my driveway on the street, using my driveway like it's a curb. And it's a meat sales truck. And so I walk up to the front door. I park down the block. I walk up to the front door, and I say, "Hey, I couldn't park in the driveway." "Oh, there's meat salesmen here." Trying to make it like uncomfortable for them, but of course failing miserably and just sounding like an idiot. And they're trying to sell us meat, and
a common thing that happens on a day-to-day basis.
Like, "I'll sell sell this to you for under cost." Great. It's still $70 of meat, and I don't want to buy $70 of meat at the same time. Please leave. And even if I would have been open to purchasing luxury meat, parking in front of my driveway and making me walk really soured the whole relationship. Now, he didn't know that I was going to park, but still.
You could say that overall it was just not a very good meet and greet, you know?
Dads.
I don't know if would you have a situation where you would need $70 of meat in one day anyways? Is that a lot?
It says it's guaranteed to last in my freezer for a year.
Gosh.
This podcast brought to you by meat.
How are you going to fit
Have some meat.
$70 of meat in your freezer when it's full of, I assume,
Dino
like
buddies,
frozen waffles and popsicles?
Yep. And I'm living a life of luxury right now. I have a fridge in my garage. I never thought that I would climb such heights of wealth, but it came with the house. But my goodness, I love it. But I still don't have room for $70 worth of meat.
I've had 2 mini fridge experiences. One of them was
too many or 2 mini fridge?
Ooh, that's a good point. I actually only have had 2, and they were about mini fridges. And one was in college, and it had like a little compartment within it that was supposed to be the freezer, but it didn't have a door or anything, and like the door of the fridge, but you open it and it's just this little hanging shelf, but it had some ice on it. So I was like, oh, that's the freezer part, I guess. So I put red popsicles in it, and it was not 32 degrees like in any way. I went to class, came home later that day, just red blood, just down the whole thing, down the
chilled plastic bags full of Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Now, I assumed that was what was going to happen, but then I thought, no, certainly these popsicles would be individually wrapped. But no, you just threw loose, unwrapped popsicles in the top section of a mini fridge.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't you?
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I would.
Yeah. I haven't really had many good experiences with mini fridges, with 2 fridges. Too many fridges. Dang it, 2 and mini are both messing with me here. Yeah,
I got too many fridges.
Just get one regular sized one.
No, don't you see the glory in this? They stack. You can set the 2 different fridges to different temperatures.
What did your kids think about the meat man in the front driveway?
Oh, they hid the whole time.
Did he have like a jingle like an ice cream truck? Anything like that?
Meat. No. But I said, kids, hide. It's the meat man. Trying to steal mama.
Hide your kids, hide your meat.
Scatter, it's the meat man.
They selling meat to everybody.
I'm glad we crack ourselves up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, just before the recording, Alex, I'm going to quote you. You said, "I'm glad you guys laugh at the things nobody else laughs at." Hopefully,
that's what we're all here
at
for.
least one person in our audience will enjoy us.
If we can get one person to pull their car over because they can't see right, that's the goal. That's the podcast goal.
Yeah, people who have that little certification on their driver's license, we hope that you're listening. Thank you so much.
You wouldn't download a dog. You wouldn't steal a snake. You wouldn't burgle a bear. You wouldn't purloin a penguin. Turning into animals is stealing. Being a tiger is against the law, even in bed. Morphing, it's a crime. Oh my goodness.
Well, good.
Welcome to Animorphs
Good.
55. He said in
The
natural
podcast.
segue tones.
Yes. I'm one of your hosts, Zach.
I'm not going second.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Patrick, host number 3.
Where'd you come from? And today we're going to review or talk or walk through or do something with Animorphs number 6.
We practically flew
Capture.
through it. We flied through it. Nah, this joke doesn't work super well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys could see the cover of this book, you would be on the floor or pulling your car over laughing right now
Because there's a
it's
fly.
it's Jake. Is this Jake? I don't.
It
Yeah,
is
it's Jake, and he's turning into a fly.
With, amongst a mustard clouded background. Kind of pukish looking as well. I know that you guys always want to know what the back of the book says every single time.
So tell me.
So I will satiate that. It was really bad when Jake found out his older brother was one of them. It was even worse when Tobias stayed in his morph too long. But nothing compares to the horror the Animorphs are about to face. Nothing.
Nothing.
Jake, Rachel, Tobias, Cassie, and Marco have a feeling they know where the Yeerks' new base is located, and they've even figured out how to get in. How many people will really notice a few flies on the wall? But they never figured that they might get caught, or that Jake could fall into the Yeerk Pool, that Jake could become a human controller, a Yeerk, the enemy. Now, for the first time, the front of it does actually relate. It's not generic. Now he's one of them. Okay. All right.
And if you looked at the cover at the book fair, you would think, oh, he's one of the flies now.
That's what I
don't
thought.
know what that means.
That's what I thought when I saw the tagline. I was like, oh, now he's one of the flies. Okay. How reasonable.
He just becomes an athlete in this book, and he's just a fly the rest of the
Yeah, why
well,
not?
another 2 books, I guess, until the fly's usually lifespan is probably dead.
We crammed the rest of the war into
The next 2 days,
2 days.
to make sure Jake was still around. Yeah.
Okay, so I currently am on the Animorphs fandom page because I didn't take notes on this book, but I wanted the plot summarized for me. And it's got the original cover and it's got the 2012 cover, and the 2012 cover is sure making me miss the original.
Oh yeah, they did that re-release of the first 8 or so, at least at the time of this recording.
It's kind of a greenish cheetah-y hexagon background, and there's
Oh, that's terrible.
imagine you go to the spa and they put the cucumber slices on your eyes, but instead of cucumbers, it's like little blobs of peanut butter and jelly, I think. And here, sculpt a face out of clay from memory.
Yeah, that's bad.
It's horrifying.
It's pretty bad.
Now they also have the graphic novel coming out as well, or maybe it already came out at this time. That one's a lot more friendly looking. If you looks like a pink bubble bath. There's a lot of variations to this one. Either way, the short version is I would not want to become a fly.
No,
Agreed.
That book with the lobsters from a few ago has got me nervous about extra legs bursting from my chest. I don't want that.
Okay, so when I got to that roach description of him turning into a roach to open the book, well, that was chapter 2, I guess, yeah, I was reading that part to my wife, and she said, "Stop, please."
This book nasty.
She didn't want to hear the
No,
description
thank you.
of turning into a roach. I mean, we've had some pretty gross experiences with roaches.
Yeah, I just kind of skim whenever they go into the morphing details now, because a lot of times it's very similar. We joke about every time they turn into a bird, the feathers become three-dimensional
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a tattoo on their skin, and then they become three-dimensional. And, it's either going to be repetitive or
Gross.
nasty. Yes.
But
both.
I guess I went too ahead because I think they first have a meeting, or not a meeting, a conversation in the kitchen. Jake is our narrator, and he's hanging out with Tom for breakfast, I think. And Tom's doing his typical pitch. Hey, bro, you want to come hang out at the sharing? No, bro, I don't. All right, all right. Then when everyone leaves, he turns into a roach. Man, how gross is it to turn into a roach? The fact that they started doing insects this early, I always forget how early they get the balls to do bugs, because I feel like they would be super handy for sure. They're really handy morphs, but man, that would be tough to do.
Yeah, there's some people that will just have pick up roaches and hey, look how big this roach is. I am not one of those people. Nope.
I did
Don't
see a
want it.
video today of someone strapped a big cockroach to a rocket, Toy Story 1 style. Like they tried with Buzz Lightyear, and lit it, and it flew off. And it was out of all days for me to see that video. It was today.
I grew up in a place with a lot of humidity and a lot of wet spaces and stuff like that. So I've seen the flying cockroaches. I've seen a lot of roaches in a lot of different contexts, and never one that's made me think to myself, "Yeah, no, this is something I would love to," as Jake does, put on my hand and just kind of let it, watch it be calm for a few minutes. No, it's still going to give me the heebie-jeebies one way or another. It's just, ugh.
Was this the one that he morphed in front of the mirror too? It was like, oh, shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that.
I don't know why he would ever think that's a great choice. Yeah.
Yeah. For any animal. It could be a kitten.
Yeah.
Nope, don't want to see that.
Yeah.
And he pulls it out of a matchbox, which presumably he would have had to touch it to get it into the matchbox.
Why not just acquire it then? I also thought this question.
Okay.
Yes. No, I want to deal with this thing twice. I love roaches.
Have to do it for the audience.
Roaches
Label facing out.
famous for being caught and not escaping to other places, but you decide to put it in your dresser like a weirdo, Jake. All right, cool. You do you, bud.
Yeah, he turns into a roach, and it was just to try it out and see what it was like.
Yeah, and so he runs around his room, and then he discovers he can squeeze under the gap between the baseboards and the floor, and then he gets into the wall, and he can run between rooms.
And he ran into another roach in the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a roach the size of you that you just suddenly stumble across.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No thanks. I'm good.
Yeah, no.
Shutting that imagination off.
And he gets stuck behind the fridge because he hears people getting home, and he panics. He's trying to get out of the situation. He gets stuck in a roach motel, and that's a pretty bad situation because you've got a controller in your house and everything, and we get one of our classic Applegate transitions of quite literally. Anyway, back at the barn,
the next day
he got out of this. Yeah, he got.
Yep.
He got out.
Yeah, and so we read this part, and I'm thinking to myself, are we really just going to skip over all of that impossible situation? And they do for 6 pages, and then
he does.
They finally get curious enough to ask him, and he starts explaining.
Yeah, which they give him some detail. A lot of times they don't. They're like, hey, we got out of that. We're good.
Well, yeah, but he's stuck behind the fridge, feet stuck to this thing. And he just slowly morphs back to human and scoots the fridge out. And so his mom walks in, and as he becomes human, what are you doing, Jake? Just behind the fridge?
Just hanging out.
Not weird.
No further
I have
questions
had to push
about
my
that.
fridge out. I have had to push my fridge out to get like Matchbox cars and things that get like pushed back, in the back crevices and things. I've done that with the stove and with the fridge. So as a parent, I've been behind my fridge a few times.
But he's got deeply understanding parents who are saying, "Oh, you're just hanging out behind the fridge. You know, kids these days, they'll do anything their friends are doing. They must be hanging out behind the fridge." I would have gotten a whooping had I been moving the fridge
Show
around.
me
and
the
just,
Matchbox car.
exactly.
He's
What did you
hanging out
get
with
from
that.
behind there?
He's hanging out with that Roach Motel, and they're just like, it's that
Dust.
dang Papa Roach they're all listening to these days.
It's got to be it. It was his last resort.
Must have been
That's the
his
problem.
last resort. Yes.
Was that? Did that start mid-90s? It did, right? I mean, they've been around forever, right? Ugh, I don't remember. Just pretend yes.
Probably.
I don't have my encyclopedic knowledge of Papa Roach at my disposal. Sorry.
Man, hey Alex, be better. Just
I
be
know.
better.
It's a moment for improvement for me.
So they have this meeting and they're kind of figuring out. We get a little backstory. Tom is getting higher up. Well, his Yeerk is getting higher up, and he's hearing a bit more about plans. He's done some star 69ing to determine who his brother has been calling, and it's hospital or doctors out of hospital or something like that. And they realize the Yeerks have control of at least part of this of a hospital nearby, and that can be a bad deal.
Yeah, it's pretty genius, all in all. I thought that was one of the first plans that I've really seen that seems like they've really thought it through and they're interested in actually doing something systematically rather than just, we'll get you darn Andalites and those meddling kids too. It's a very clever idea. Spooky.
Yeah, it's like an assembly line. They come in, they go out. Yeah, like Marco said.
Well, and you get one of my favorite, Jake comments about Marco that I've seen thus far, which is, let me see. Everything is a joke to Marco, except his family or what's left of it. Like, maybe calm down,
You're
Jake.
like sick burn like in your head, Jake.
Everybody's having a rough go right now. Maybe you need to not burn your friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Is that when they determined the governor is also checked in there? Was that in that same meeting?
Yes, it is. It's at that same time.
Okay.
Yeah, so they at the barn, they're discussing what the next plan is, and I guess Jake still has the roach, and he brings the roach with them, and they all acquire the roach to go to the Sharing's clubhouse meeting or something, and so they all roach it up inconspicuously across the street, and they got Tobias on air support, and they go in, and rather than everybody being like, this place is lousy with roaches, no, they're Andalites. Capture them. Capture everything.
And it was pretty intense. Visitor 3 says, oh, you think of Andalite can't be this small. Someone kill this fool. Blam, blam. Somebody's dead. And he's like, did Tom just get shot? I mean, I thought that escalated real quickly. I don't know. I guess human guns feel more intense than Draken beams, I suppose, to me, because they're more real.
You can't kill Tom. He's too quick. It's all of that high school basketball that he plays. All right, he's got the moves for days.
He should have known.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, so I think that's where they found out about the governor going into that hospital at that meeting. They figured that out. And they're all like, "Crap, this could be even worse than we thought." And they start spraying Raid everywhere. Raid. Jake has a bad time. I mean, everyone's in all sorts of. I think Marco hides in a toilet. Someone else hides in a wall. Someone else gets out. But Jake gets sprayed.
Yeah, and he somehow makes it out of the building, and I think they're still chasing him through the wall or something. And then Tobias scoops him up and drops him on a rooftop, and
and we're just like, "Hey, dude, morph out. You're gonna die."
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The idea of getting sprayed being in roach form and getting sprayed with what's essentially nerve gas, as he describes it, which is pretty accurate. That stuff is real nasty. I cannot imagine the idea of I just got dosed with some nerve gas. I guess I'll just figure out what I'm going to do to morph out of it. That's a little different to me from, you've got a chemical in your body one way or another. You're not oh yeah, I've just got my arm cut off, but if, arms don't matter, my arm will just regrow when I turn back into a human. But poison is interesting to think about, something that they've got to deal with once they do morph back still.
If you're a roach though, it's a small amount. What?
Yeah,
Does your DNA have poison in it?
Yeah.
if you try
Well,
hard enough.
Does I guess it would be. I guess it'd be a small amount, right? Because if it like whatever poisons a bug probably doesn't poison a human. But what if they are something that's human sized? Then yeah, can you morph that out of you? I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, I still held my breath whenever I sprayed roaches.
That's true. I sprayed a lot of roaches back in college.
But the
Yeah.
real way that they recover is through landing on a Boston market, actually, because that was what I realized what the place was that he was dropped off. He was dropped off at a Boston market. This was late 90s. This was peak time. The rotisserie chicken smell washed all of the nerve gas out of him. Just
Yeah.
really nourishing.
And if you're thinking of a place to go eat, like where you think Boston Market read that book, like the store, the restaurant read that book, and they were like, hey, what the hell, man? Like why are you associating roaches with my restaurant? What did I do to you?
Well, look,
Come on,
there's only 15 Boston markets left. I may be dating the show at this point, but there's only 15 Boston markets left across the
Yeah.
United States of America right now, versus at the heyday of K.A. Applegate's hit series. So
This
I
could
think it
be
was
the
like
beginning
over
of
1,000 at that point. Yeah, so worth thinking about.
But they do decide, okay, we got out of that. Let's go check out this hospital. Not as roaches this time. I forget why. Probably just because it was a terrible time. But they do a lot of Jeff Goldblum movie references, talking about The Fly, which at the time when I read this book as a kid, I had no idea what that was.
Right? That's my parents might have seen it.
Yeah, I mean now I hear the help me or whatever, but at the time I was like, help me, is it like singing? I don't get it.
It's my favorite song.
Yeah, it was a reference that just totally went over my head at the time. And also I think they said when they were nervous about this part, and I wanted to ask you guys about this. It said they were all in morph and they all giggled nervously in morph. Now, can you tell me how do you laugh in morph? Do you have to say ha ha? Like you have to say the words ha? Because like a laugh is like
It's a very good point. I mean, you like
I
make the
don't-
noise involuntarily, it feels like. So what's in my
yeah, because
brain
everything
for
you're
laughing?
saying,
Huh.
everything you're saying to each other is like words that you're forming. So all I imagine is the way they're laughing at each other is just saying the word ha a few times, like reading texts, basically. That's how I see it.
LOL.
They're
Lamau.
just saying LOL back
Raffle.
to each other as their flies. There's just a bunch of flies buzzing around saying things like that. Yeah. So they do. That's such a stupid visual.
Flies just lamau, 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 lamau.
So they do get in the hospital and they find a tub that is quite obviously a Yeerk pool to me, but they had to do a few extra steps to figure it out.
It is a jacuzzi. It is name brand.
Oh,
we
yeah.
are fancy at this hospital.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And then they open it up and it's nasty inside.
And it's gross.
Like a
Things
jacuzzi.
immediately. It didn't have to be
Oh man, why you guys associating me with nasty stuff?
The Yeerks were like, it's
There was a
already
bunch-
ready for us. It's perfect.
there was some stuff floating in the pool. It wasn't Yeerks. It was something else.
Ugh. Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah. Things go badly pretty quickly, and there's more gunshots, and a bullet ricochets and hits Jake.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. The bullet ricochets off of something. Of course, we don't need to know what, because bullets are small and fast. And hits him in the head, and it knocks him over, and his head goes right into the Yeerk Pool jacuzzi.
Yuck.
Yeah. Not a good time. He just passes out. I thought this next chapter was maybe the best chapter I've read so far. When it was him being kind of carried out, and there's just everything is going crazy around him, and he's kind of focusing in and out. Oh, he's dropped. Oh, he's being thrown through something. Oh, he's being tossed over here, and there's a lot of destruction going around. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was well written.
Yeah, I don't know how he got out. I assume somebody, because he's a he's a human at the time, right?
Yeah. He's demorphed.
Marco's carrying
or
him
he-
out because
okay,
he's
so
a
is he-
gorilla.
Mhm.
Okay, so the Yeerks that are staffing the hospital all see a gorilla carrying a perhaps unconscious boy
Mhm.
With his face covered.
out of the
Mhm.
hospital.
It did make sure to say his face
Oh,
was
okay.
covered. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't remember that.
And then
I had
Rachel
So
same
that's
thought.
good.
Rachel turns into the elephant morph, and I gotta say, every time I see it, I give them props because there's no point where they say how much force, how much subtlety, what's the right tool for this job. They say, give me the biggest thing. We're smashing walls. We're
Rachel,
getting out of
elephant,
here.
Go.
There's
Paper,
no
rock, scissors.
restraint.
Nothing beats rock.
Dang
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So they all demorph. They're all panting. They're all, whew, that was a close one again, man. We're having a lot of these close ones. And Jake's having a hard time.
Yeah, and you get a good idea of what the Yeerk hierarchy is and everything because you get him talking about, well, I was a lower class. Now I'm going to be a higher element of what's going on. We rotate through hosts. And so I used to be inside your brother Tom, but now I'm in your head. And it was very interesting,
coincidental.
just dumped on you. And there's sense of personhood from this guy too, which is wild.
And he tells him, I can see his name, Temrash 114, but soon I could be promoted to Temrash some other number. And later on in the series, I don't think that's how Yeerk names work. Because we learned that twins have a certain naming convention.
Yeah. I think the idea is that it starts, and we'll see more as it goes to remember, but I think someone just listening is like, oh, I already know the answer. Stop saying the wrong things. I think they have a naming convention that they start
Wait
with.
your turn, Mom.
I think they have a naming convention that they start with, and then they slowly ascend in values until they're in like the 40s, and now you're a sub-visitor, and now you're in like the 20s, and you're a visitor, or whatever the sections are.
I thought this might have been one of those early, like talking as or thought speak as a human, where you
it could be that too.
retcon it.
It could be that too.
Okay, yeah, it's been a while since I read
Yeah,
the other
same.
ones.
But yeah,
I just wanted to point that out and draw attention to myself later.
he's moved he's moved on from Tom to Jake, and he's like, this is awesome. I was already gonna be the Yeerk that infested that governor, but now I can bring all the Andalite bandits that are somehow humans to Visitor 3. This is awesome. Everything's awesome. They're never gonna catch me, and it took Jake a while to even like respond, right? Because he's like half unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's like got this pain in his head, and then he's trying to figure out what's going on, and then he's having a conversation with himself in his head. I think there's a long stretch of time where his friends are like, "Bro, are you okay?"
And this,
can you just imagine spacing out for a good 5-10 minutes?
This
Why
wild.
is your head wet and smells awful? I don't know.
Jacuzzi, classic jacuzzi.
Drink this Neosporin. You need it.
Yeah.
I love this next scene where you've got Jake, the Yeerk as Jake trying to pretend to be Jake. And I felt like he's doing a pretty good job. It's like, it's not this like, oh, I got to kind of slip into it. It's like, no, he's like rip roaring and ready to go. It's like hard to distinguish between the two. And all it takes is just one wrong comment at the wrong time. And then Axe's super racism kicks over. And he's like, I knew you were a Yeerk the whole time. You fool. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It is lucky that they have. I remember thinking, wow, if a Yeerk gets caught that easily, why don't all of them get caught? But I guess all of them don't have Andalites around them immediately upon getting a new host. If they did, they might fall apart more often.
Because Yeerks cannot help themselves. When they see an Andalite, they have to yell,
They
Andalite!
just have to let them know that they see them and that they hate them.
Yeah, so Axe, I think this is the first time that he sees Axe as, in Jake's head. He turns around and there's Axe and he goes, Andalite filth! And then he tries to play it off like, no, I've had a rough day. I got shot in the head.
Cool.
It's, He surprised me.
Yeah.
He's Andalite filth.
Guys.
Don't act like you wouldn't call him that.
Yeah. Cassie's like, seriously? Yeah.
And it's so refreshing how everybody kind of dissects it from you know all those tropes, you know all the tropes of the other movies where everybody is, oh yeah, well who could possibly be the imposter? Are we sure this isn't the real person? It's a couple of moments of uncertainty, but the remainder of it is very much like all right, well, we know it's clearly a Yeerk, so what now? Which I like.
Yeah,
That's refreshing.
For sure. Cassie gets hints at it, and then Tobias is very much like, no, and then even later than Marco's like, you made the wrong play, and they all like kind of slowly see their own piece of like, no, this is wrong, and especially when they're like, we're gonna do it anyway, and you're fighting about it. Yeah, it's over.
Good luck.
We know what you are.
Yeah, that one it felt pretty obvious, but at the same time, they take a while, and at least from Jake's point of view, it feels like, are they going to catch on? I don't know. They might not catch on, and he might actually get away. But then, he does the Andalite filth thing, and you're like, okay, he's probably caught at this point. But then he's, still, they're walking him along, and they set him up for a couple of really good gotchas that I certainly would have fallen for. And they've decided that, all without being able to thought speak to each other, they decide that Axe is going to play Jake. He's going to morph Jake and pretend to be him while they starve the Yeerk out.
As we know, that Axe becoming a human has gone 1 out of 1 times really, really well.
Yes. Yeah. And he decides that he's going to try to throw him off. It's going to like lie about stuff and not help, or he's going to pretend to help them, train Axe to be him. And he's secretly scheming, no, I'm going to lie and throw them off. And then he turns around and he sees himself, because Axe has already morphed into him and is practicing his walk, and he's all of his mannerisms. And they're just like, we go from, are they going to catch on, to they have got this guy figured out front and back.
Yeah,
doesn't stand a chance.
And all their plans that they end up having over the rest of the book are pretty awesome, pretty foolproof, pretty well thought out. I mean, because the big deal, right, is that night he involuntarily morphs because the Yeerk makes him morph, and he's like, oh my gosh, I forgot that I could morph and that this thing could use me to morph. Debatable, and if you would forget that.
Yeah.
but you think when he becomes a tiger and he's out in the woods, you're like, oh, it's over. Like, how are you going to stop this?
And yeah, I thought maybe the first time that I read this that, he's going to try to morph something small and the Yeerk's not going to fit in his brain, but it does, because magic. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out more in the morph lore that comes up later.
Morph lore.
I think also that's just inconsistent. That's the secret.
Well, you've seen these pictures of what is it? The I know there's one for the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring at 100% power, and then it pans out to Samwise Gamgee and Aragorn. It's like 99% power. That's very much how this felt with, oh no, Jake's out of commission. What's the rest of the team going to do? Oh, better and more precise than pretty much anything that they've come up with his plans thus far? Great. Why do we have Jake as the leader? Because you guys do so much better without him.
The team is so strong without you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much better off.
Yeah. But by the way, we've missed this aspect that's come up a couple times in the book now. What did you guys get from the dream that Jake has about following Tom in the woods?
Oh yeah,
and then it's me being attacked.
Yeah, Jake's a tiger in the woods tracking down Tom, and then Tom turns around and sees him. Jake pounces, and then suddenly he is Tom, and the tiger is coming at him. And scene?
I mean, yeah. Is it just like foreshadowing becoming a controller? Like, I guess I didn't really understand the point of that, and I'm probably missing something.
It's a recurring dream that happens 3, maybe 4 times in the book.
And before the Yeerk in his head, yeah.
Yeah, and I just kind of thought, oh, well, this will make sense later. And then
I,
it didn't.
I get it's a metaphor. It's foreshadowing. One of these things, generic. I don't know. Didn't seem like it landed as well as it was maybe intended to. For me, at least. I just didn't know if you
No, I'm
guys
with
did.
you. Yeah. It's just kind of odd as an anxiety dream.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But as far as anxiety dreams go, I mean, somebody needs to check on K.A. Applegate because some of those like, oh yeah, well you think you're strong and you're going to resist? Great. Here's some psychological torture while you're stuck inside your own mind. You don't have control of your body. I'm going to replay moments for you to make you feel particular ways. That's not so crazy, man. That is lots for a kid to deal with.
Replaying that scene of Jake and Tom talking at breakfast at the beginning of the book, but from Tom's point of view, and Tom's just like crying and is like, I can't do anything about this. This is awful. I mean, that's brutal. And I mean, like if Tom ends up, this book series goes on for years. So I mean, if he's already at that level of like, there's no hope, you guys still got more years to go.
Tom ain't coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
Woof.
There's not a lot of some of the other books I found had a lot more humor. This one doesn't have a lot of humor. This is a pretty heavy book. Even the conversations in Jake's own head are pretty intense. Like you're not we're gonna defeat you humans. Well, you're not gonna be alive to see it. Like but I did love Jake having the point of like, I can talk though. You can't stop me from talking. I found that to be like a little dark humor right there.
Shut up, shut up, shut up. Stop thinking things while I'm trying to think things. That was good.
Yeah. Can you imagine just the floodgates you could open? Just like, let me just think about all the things I have to do in the next like month. Oh my gosh. I will bombard you with some anxiety right here. Here we go.
You think you can control me? My anxiety runs me. I am just a series of strings pulled tightly. You don't know what you've gotten into. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
Locked in here with me.
I'm picturing this as the Yeerk, like being the limo driver, and you're just like stuck in the back of the limo and you can't do anything, and then you start yelling at him, but then he rolls up the window.
That's a very, very good analogy. That's a very good analogy because he literally says he puts up a wall at some points. That's fantastic. Yeah.
But so they take him back to some abandoned shed in the middle of the forest, which seems terrifying all on its own. But it's clearly abandoned. It says it's missing half the roof. It's not cozy. And they, I don't know, strap him to a chair or something. Maybe that's just how I pictured it.
Yeah. I snuck in a bit of the TV episode. Yeah, it's to a chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it a nice chair?
It's not a nice episode.
And so they just take turns watching him, mostly Tobias, because, or at least, you know what? We don't know the plan. They're keeping all the plans from Jake. They just, talked to themselves and said, oh yeah, Tobias is going to do most of the watching. And then you can tell this is a book written in the 90s because how were you just away from your home for several hours? Yeah. No one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're all gone. They're all guarding him in turns, and he turns into a tiger, I think, first.
Yeah,
right?
No, the tiger one was first. Yeah.
Okay, and so he's running through the woods, and the tiger's got good night vision, but he doesn't know where he is. How does the tiger get stopped? I forget.
I think at that point he's like, Jake's bugging him like, hey, you don't know where you're going. You don't have endurance for this, whatever. Okay, well, I'll demorph and figure it out. Okay, I'll morph into a bird. Bam! An owl's slamming into me or whatever. Crap, what's happening? Suddenly he realizes, I think Marco's out there, Elephant Rachel's out there, Owl Cassie's out there, Tobias is somewhere. Like, Cassie has a really good line. She says, your friends are out here. Like, we got your back kind of thing, Which, for the first time, Jake's like, oh, snap, I could win.
I could have never come up with a plan like this.
This is incredible. I need to pick another leader.
100%.
Yeah. If I get out of this, Cassie's going to lead this group.
Yeah, the only thing dumber than a teenager is this space slug who cannot seem to figure out. Jake is like, oh my God, what could be going on? And starts figuring it out. And yet the Yeerk, who is apparently very important, cannot manage to figure out how to avoid 4 children and a child and a light.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. He tries to he tries to be an ant later, gets attacked by ants.
But he tells him a bunch of times, I can read your mind like a book. He can clearly read it really fast because he does a pretty good job at first of selling the rest of the team that he is Jake. And so he can like speed read Jake's mind, and he still can't figure a way out of the forest, which tells me that Jake could not figure a way out of the forest either.
Nope.
I love that.
Good try, kid.
Not my leader. But he's the tallest, so he's the leader.
That's all it
I mean,
takes.
the bugs won't work, right? Because he wouldn't be able to go very far.
Why does Jake, the tallest Animorph, not simply eat the others?
Yeah. I think that they at one point, because the whole time I was thinking, be a bird, dummy. Come on, be a bird, you know. But Tobias does shoot that down pretty quick in a pretty messed up way. I'll either kill you because we all said we'd rather die. That's how awful you are, little worm alien thing. Or I will just poke your eyes out, and then you'll have to deal with that pain.
Tobias probably once a book on average goes for an enemy's eyes. That's like his signature move.
That's his thing. Yeah. So eventually the Yeerk starts like, I mean, I always thought of it as after 3 days, okay, I gotta go eat. Like, I'm a little hungry now. But it seems like a full day before the 3-day thing, like you're uncomfortable, is what it seems like.
And at the whole time we don't, maybe it's just not important, but they don't talk about Jake eating or drinking anything.
No. So yeah, maybe it's a combo.
It's true.
Maybe the Yeerk's like, dang man, I'm hungry. The stupid host won't eat.
You live like this?
So-
This is awful. Oh my God.
Is this your house? No, Yeerk, you can read my mind. You know what it looks like.
This is horrible.
Oh, right.
I got a poor host. Oh no. You live in the woods.
I changed my mind. Can I go back to the hospital?
I miss my jacuzzi.
So he does start kind of being. He does kind of talk to Jake a bit like, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna like kind of tell a little bit of my story, right? You learn a little bit about Yeerks getting out of the pool. You learn that there's some kind of a Yeerk Andalite backstory there that led to the animosity, but he doesn't elaborate beyond that too much, which is interesting. And you find that the Yeerks tend to give up if they're gonna lose. They're like, okay, I surrender, kind of thing. Versus humans are like, I'm gonna go down fighting, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, a pretty important distinction that I don't think I realized early on how important that could be down the line.
Yeah, through all of the central theme of the book, maybe this isn't the central theme, but you're turning into different animals because those animals all have different strengths. And it tends to make it look like, oh, you're a human, you're a fleshy little blob who can't run as fast as animals, you got no claws, no sharp teeth, all this. But then, it's like this moment, it's like, yeah, but you guys don't give up. You will keep going and going and going, and you got those cool brains. And it's a nice little, okay, maybe humans aren't awful compared to, they got eyes and legs. They're not like Yeerks. That's pretty cool.
And just the mentality alone is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure made me feel cool for being a human.
Yeah.
Well, how you gonna be that?
Thanks for the ego boost.
How you gonna be that uppity if you're a space slug and all you do is live inside other creatures and then be like, oh, well, I guess humans are okay. Well, you know what? You're the one who's having to crawl inside their heads. So maybe let's calm down on the high and mighty talk, Chief.
Not judge so much.
Yeah.
And we go through, I forget what they call it, but it's like the final hour or whatever, right? And it sounds like it's just kind of painful for everybody. It's just emotionally draining. Oh gosh, he shows him how Tom became I don't think it was intentional, but he shows him how Tom became a controller, which was a bummer. Like his hopes and dreams are gone. He was a basketball player chasing a girl, and now he's just a slave. That sucks.
Yeah, the girl was a higher member at the sharing, and he just he thought she was cheating on him or seeing another guy
Something
or
like
something,
that.
and so he
Girl
burst into the
problems, am I
secret
right?
room. Yeah. That's,
All the
that's how
girls
they
these
get ya.
days just want a subvisor. They don't want, they don't want good guys who are lower numbers of Yeerk.
Yeah. 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 They always
Ew, a
wanted.
subvisor.
Just like
Oh man, you're leaving me for some subvisor.
some Yeerk in a Letterman jacket, just little slug tail draped around somebody as like, yeah, nerd.
Took your girl, dude.
Strange mental image I'm getting.
I did want to ask you, Alex, because this is your first time reading this part. That when there was a part where the Yeerk is dying, and then Jake kind of is like, "Oh, I'm seeing through like reality, and I see a big eye machine thing." It's only like a page, if even that. It was very short. What did you think of all that? I know what that is, but as a first time reader, I'm curious your point of view on that.
I mean, the Eye of Sauron being something that showed up here was a little surprising overall.
Yeah,
But
it's very much that, isn't it? Doesn't it seem like that?
it very much felt like that. It was like, I don't know if this is a machine or a critter, and it's just got a big old eye, and it was staring at me. And that's fair, but it's tough to find consequence in it, especially since I'm like, okay, we've got Visser 3 that I know of, and then we've got Visser 1, who's Marco's mom. So, like, is there another class of creature or something that's kind of running things even further behind the scenes? At which point the bureaucracy is getting to be a little bit too wide for me. I think that's why they're really kind of self-sabotaging. But yeah, weird kind of thing to bring up. But this book's been full of a lot of like little lore drops that feel like they're going to be consequential later. But for right now, Jake and his leader brain don't seem to be really putting a whole lot of stock in.
Yeah, when I read this the first time, I, immediately thought I could picture him and I thought, what was that about? And I had all these questions for Zach that he wouldn't answer.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
And this time, as I was reading it through, it was, the Yeerk is starving and he's seeing all these visions, and then we see this, and I just thought, okay, that's another vision, and it just didn't seem that out of the ordinary for me. It's just like, oh, here's something else the Yeerk saw. I don't know. I didn't understand what it was. Probably something on TV. And
some random show he watched when he was a little Yeerk.
yeah, and I don't care. But it's something important. But this read through, it felt like just, I don't know, it's just the Yeerks freaking out. And
The first time I ever read that, I think I like misread it or something like that. I was younger, maybe I did like a quick skim sentence, where you kind of skip a sentence or two sometimes. And I saw it as the Yeerk crawled out and like melted and then turned into a little eye thing. I feel like I've seen.
I can see confusion. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen a show, like there was like an old movie or something where a bad guy melted into, or maybe it was animated or not, where someone melted into like a puddle and there was just like a little eyeball left and it popped and then went away. Like Hexus in Fern Gully or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
I'm immediately thinking of Who Framed Roger Rabbit with the goo.
That might be
but
it.
I don't know.
I can't remember. But yeah, I think whatever I'd seen, it influenced so I didn't really think of it as a separate thing. I thought for a moment it was the Yeerk dying and then it, shriveled away and went away. But it is very much a different reality, different thing, there's something else. Something else out there. Yeah.
And so he gets this vision and the Yeerk crawls out, Jake is suddenly back to himself and he says hi to Cassie and she knows that he's better now. And he's like, oh, how does she know? And then he looks down and he sees the Yeerk on the ground. And I'm like, okay, that's probably a good hint.
That'll do
that you're back to normal. The Yeerk has crawled out. And then I thought, how nice of the Yeerk to crawl out instead of just dying in his brain and causing a massive infection.
Mm-hmm.
Valid point.
That's so sweet.
This is so kind. So conscientious, nice at the end.
I really don't have an explanation for that. I mean, I also don't have an explanation necessarily for why didn't he say, well, I'm dying. I'm going to take you out, though, and turn you into a worm or whatever you have and get you stuck as that. And then I'll die. I don't know.
You're starving me. I don't like this, so I'm gonna start licking your brain, and it's gonna feel gross. It's mine now. I licked it.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like, why
It's
did he
my
crawl
brain.
out?
Got
instead
3
just
days of
dying
brain
in there?
licking.
Man, how would you even explain that? This Yeerk dies in your head, and then
I need brain surgery.
yeah,
I guess.
surgery now. Now doctors have discovered this thing that was in there. I guess we can't go that route. It crawled out. How nice.
Cassie, I don't have health insurance, but you like know vet stuff.
Yeah, you can
Just
do it.
hook the garden hose up to my ear and get this thing out.
Some
The garden
ivermectin.
hose.
We get the horse dewormer, and we're going to use it on your brain.
Good. No, I like the garden hose idea. Somehow that'll do it.
Flush it. It went in a jacuzzi. We're going to put your head face down in a jacuzzi one more time, and maybe it'll swim out.
And it'll come out. I think, that's logical.
It's kid logic.
So they get it very much back at the barn. They're out of that situation. They're back home. Hey, you're eating like a normal person now, Jake. You were eating like a crazy person the last few days.
Yeah, we cram
good.
all the humor in this book into these last couple of pages
It's
when we
not a
find
very
out
funny
how
book.
Axe has been acting.
Yeah. I mean, Axe had a rough go too. I mean, every 2 hours he had to like hide and. I mean, did he ever sleep? Was he paranoid of
Oops.
sleeping?
Oops, gotta poop. Be in the bathroom for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, Jake, you ate a ton. Yeah, and I pooped a lot too. Okay,
It's a
all
good
right.
cover.
I mean, open and
Makes
shut
sense.
case. I get it.
Case closed, everybody.
You ate a whole pie and all the chicken wings and
Yeah.
stood on the
Yeah.
table yelling taste.
Yeah, I'm sure it was I was just going through a phase.
Normal
Kids
Monday
listen to
night.
their Chumbawamba, their Papa Roach.
I found that box in Tom's room that's made him withdrawn and bloodshot eyes from a couple episodes back.
Yeah. So then Jake is like, "Oh, I'm gonna do something dumb, sentimental. I'm gonna morph a little bit horse sounding, not a horse, morph a wolf to be horse sounding,
Horse wolf.
and
Missed
and
opportunity.
call Tom and say, yeah, do like a Mr. Ed type thing.
Hello, Tom.
Tom,
It's me.
For our
Don't
80-year-old
give up.
viewers, there's a hint for you. There's an Easter egg.
Hey, the good old 2020s reference is Mr. Ed, the
Exactly.
talking horse.
The kids know all about it.
Yeah, and he tells him, "Don't give up," and that's it. You don't see what Tom says or thinks or whatever. Bookend, boom, we're out.
Tom could have star 69'd as well.
That's true. Although I
That
don't
would-
know where he called from.
That
but
would
he
really
could've,
busted
yes.
up the whole
It's
thing.
Cassie's dad's phone.
Ooh, risky.
Yeah.
Payphone, man.
Oh, that's
Come
very
on.
risky. If Jake was star 69, then why couldn't Tom star 69? Probably doesn't know about it.
Jake's a prank call hooligan.
The commercial's coming on. The AT&T commercial's coming on. Get out of the room, Tom.
We don't want you to learn about this.
I'm going to watch that commercial one of these days.
You have a collect call from, I'm definitely not your brother morphed into a wolf. Will you accept the charges? Sure.
What?
Who is this?
Okay.
Never give up. Okay, bye.
Grr.
Oh gosh. Oh man. Yeah, and that's the end. That's the book.
It's all
Oh
over.
gosh. What'd you guys think? Woo.
Yeah, liked it. The shift between not a lot happens in this book except for the starving the Yeerk. I mean, everything else, other things happen, but it feels very condensed. So it's gross being a roach, but we want to be a roach again, and then we almost die, and then let's go for a swim in this gross hot tub.
Yeah.
And then it's starving the Yeerk. Yeah. I don't want to be hit in the head with a ricochet bullet.
Doesn't sound fun.
You know what? I shouldn't have been the first one to go. I don't know what I want to rate this yet.
We'll come back. Alex, what do you think?
I'm kind of with
Cool.
you though, Patrick. I think that there were a lot of ideas that were put forward that, while they didn't necessarily act on all of them or like kind of reach the logical conclusion on everything, I felt like there were a lot of cool things that were dropped in, outlined, and brought up. Do I think that, I mean, like with the dream sequence and such, do I think that all of that was tied up neatly in a bow rather than just being kind of something that was thrown out there and, let's see if this floats? No, but I definitely would put it a good chunk higher than Jake's first book, which again still feels so much like that 90s teen basketball, sports kind of guy. I mean, we still had some of that in here that there was so little that I felt like it added to the story. It almost detracts from it, trying to say, look, he's just an ordinary kid. Well, the remainder of this, that feels just in such strong contrast too. So, yeah, I thought it was good. I liked the tone of a lot of areas. It definitely did a good job kind of staying in that and staying believable. So, yeah, this was a pretty good one.
What's your out of 10? What do you got?
Oh, I have definitely been inconsistent in my rating structure every single time. But if I'm not rating them one over the other, I would honestly say this is probably a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Not out of 100. That would be abysmal.
You got a 6. You need a 600 to pass. You got a 6.
Sorry about you.
Yeah, I don't know what I would rate this. Can't think of a lot of things that I would dock points from if I was to set it as a default 10 and then make it lose points. But yeah, I don't know, 7, I think. I thought the dream thing was weird. I really liked them figuring out that it was a Yeerk. The whole him trying to escape and they got you at every turn thing felt pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty big fan favorite book. I mean, the concept is very like Empire Strikes Back, right? Where like the bad guys kind of win for a minute. And those kind of movies always do well. And so it's interesting to have that kind of situation. You do, as a result, since you want to dive so much into being the controller part, you have like the whole like a whole book basically crammed into like a whole mission crammed into the first half of the book. So it is pretty quick. And then the second half explores. I mean, the capture doesn't really happen till like 2/3 of the way into the book or something like that.
Oh wow!
So yeah, but once you get to that controller part, there's a lot. There's a lot of lore explored. There's a lot of like heavy stuff. Lots of emotions. Pretty intense book. The thing that this book doesn't have going for it as much is that I think part of why these books are so popular is that it does a really good balance between humor and the not drama, but like the intense aspect. This one kind of loses the humor, so it's a little weaker on that to me, and loses like what makes Animorphs as much. But man, there is a lot of new stuff. What's that eyeball thing? What's a Ged? What's a subvisor? How does the third day sucks before you get Condrone? I didn't know that. There's a lot of things like this.
Yeerks can share memories between hosts.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's pros and cons. I'm actually going to do it lower than I remember, at least. Shoot, maybe I'd go back and look and see that I've said the same thing before. I'm going to say it's a 6 out of 10. 6 gross jacuzzis out of 10 is what I'm going to go with.
That sounds better, not worse. Fewer bad
Less
jacuzzis.
the better.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, mine was 7 creepy eyeballs out of 7. Out of 10.
Oh, good. A pretty standard unit of measurement, actually. Right. Cool. All right. Well, anything else, guys?
No, I'm looking forward to seeing pacing kind of take a similar approach as in this one. I felt like seeing a book that's got a first half that's fairly strong and a back half that's pretty strong is actually really nice to see. I know that some of these earlier ones, we've had, half a book, 3/4 of a book of setup, and then it all just rushes right at the end, like an avalanche of action. So I'm hoping for that next time.
That's true. That's true.
Find out more about what all this exposition could possibly mean.
This one didn't have that as much. Like a lot of them, they do get tied up in a nice little bow in like the last 2 or 3 pages. This one doesn't do that so much. It's pretty long, drawn out death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do have to say that this one, not going to give you details, but this one does. When you start exploring the lore a bit, it almost feels like this is when they knew that the series was going to be like, I don't know, picked up or whatever the appropriate word is for a book series versus like a sitcom or something, where they start exploring the lore a bit, and after this, we really start seeing a lot of universe expansion. So there's gonna be a lot more to learn about, and it kind of starts with I think this book. So
Very nice.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Last time when Zach and I read this series, I was real into Python, the coding language, and I extracted the text of the books and put it into a thing that would give me the most common 2 and 3 word phrases used in the books.
Okay.
And so, in the interest of hazing Alex in his first read through, I'm going to read the top 2 word phrases and 3 word phrases that will be used in the next book. And Alex is going to try to figure out what that book is about. Now, I've forgotten what it's about too, but
but people who know the books well won't. It's for them.
2 word phrases first. Yeerk Pool, Visser 3, Human Race, Dressing Room, Jake Marco, First Time, Human Body, Foot Away. 3 word phrases. Going Yeerk Pool, Elemist Showed, Drop Shaft, Walking Razor Blade, Xena Warrior Princess, Tobias Trapped Morph, Put Arm Around, 800-pound Axe Visser 3, Single Butterfly Beating. And to clarify, it takes out all of the words like of, the, and things like that don't really have a lot of meaning behind them other than linking other more important words together. So that's why put arm around was used multiple times. All right.
Take it
with all
away,
that
Alex.
in mind,
Let's think of a PG rated description of
Some
the
very
story.
interesting
Yeah.
keywords there.
Yeah, they were some interesting keywords for sure.
Well, let's see. And you can tell me at least if I'm on or off on this one. Is this a Cassie book?
It's a Rachel book.
A Rachel book. Okay. Gotcha. Given the Xena Warrior
It's
Princess.
also called The Stranger.
That sounds
Nice.
like who the name might be. First Time Human Body, The Stranger. Gotcha. Okay. I see what's happening here. Well, it sounds like they're going to be going back into some sort of ship or something like that belonging to Visser 3, visiting Yeerk Pools, which makes sense. We're either going to get an elephant or a gorilla because it's 800 pounds, and that'll tell you how much I know. Pardon me. Don't know about animal weights. Let's see. Yeerk Pool. I mean, they always have the Yeerk Pools and everything like that. So they're probably going to try and stomp another one out. So I'm betting that they're visiting a ship. They're meeting up with a new potential ally. And they're going to stomp out Visser 3's Yeerk Pool as big critters. That's my,
And a single
that's my
butterfly beating.
expert guess. I don't know what that could possibly be. That's just absolutely baffling.
I'm actually looking forward to reading the book just to figure out what that part is, because I know the plot pretty well of the next one, and I don't have any idea
This
what
doesn't
that's
sound
about.
familiar.
How
I'm
many
very
times
excited.
does single butterfly beating show?
3.
3. I could think
That's
of maybe
more than I
one
would
instance.
expect.
3
Yeah.
times. That is
Ah.
very interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Well, till next time then.
It's exciting to look
right,
forward
Alex.
to.
We'll bring it up.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Can't wait to meet
All
the
right.
stranger.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye now.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Animorphs 55, the podcast, is a fan-driven, nostalgic podcast created by Zach Hurdle, Patrick Viersba, and Alex Holton. But don't tell the Yeerks. Theme music provided by Neko Boy. Podcast artwork by Rachel Hurdle. Episodes edited by Patrick Viersba. Based on the 90s sci-fi kids series written by K.A. Applegate, Michael Grant, and other contributing authors. To contact the show, email animorphspodpeople@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.